Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, in the studio Wednesday morning. So there are a lot of open vacancies in the National Football League when it comes to the head coaching job. And despite my personal feelings about the man, I will say this. Deion Sanders is at least smart enough to understand that working for Jerry Jones is a bad idea.
Well, he worked for him for 5 years. He was a 5-year All-Pro defensive back with the Dallas Cowboys.
Player's different than coach.
It is. And while Deion says he is interested, are the Cowboys? Well, he's probably going to be considered, but a surefire certainty, really, I don't think Deion has all the experience they need or are looking for in coaching, and certainly none in the NFL. He is the former Cowboy All-Pro and does have a very good relationship with Jerry Jones. But in regards to coaching pros, as a matter of fact, Deion said he would be open to a situation where he could coach his sons in pro football, specifically Shedeur, who is probably a number one draft choice. But over and above that, remains to be seen. I would be surprised if he leaves Colorado.
He's been saying that he loves Boulder and all that stuff. There's also word that he's going to try and follow his kids, quote unquote, to see where those two land, if that can even happen, if that's even a possibility. I don't even know. But if that actually happens, those two kids make it on the same team and he ends up being the head coach. I'm calling collusion, man. Collusion. All right. What's the latest on the NBA player who bet on himself and his team?
Well, interesting story is Jonte Porter, the Porter family from up in Columbia, Missouri. He was expelled from the NBA forever. And that happened last summer when he was found to have bet on Toronto Raptors games. He is a Toronto Raptor, and he bet on himself and the games, and he threw them is what he did. He told individuals what he was going to do and what he wasn't going to do in order for them to make money on the betting. Well, yesterday came out word that he was texting a certain co-conspirator into what he was going to do in a certain game and so forth. I'm going to take myself out, fake an eye injury or something like that. And these texts were found by the individuals who do the investigating, and they arrested the co-conspirator as he stepped aboard a plane to fly to Columbia. Not Columbia, Missouri, the nation of Columbia.
Medellin.
He was getting out of town real quick. Well, that doesn't speak very well. Jonte has yet to go to a specific trial and be sentenced. He has gone to trial, but the sentencing probably takes place this summer. He's facing 20 years in prison.
Sad. And the other thing that's sad is it's kind of a microcosm of what's going on with guys his age.
What disturbs me.
And it's kids, I don't want to say kid, well, kids to me, and I'm like you, I can call them kids that are in their late teens, early 20s, mid-20s. Hell, I know guys that are in their early 30s that gamble all the time. It's one thing to do it when you're in Vegas or, whatever, but some of these guys, it's crazy to see what they're doing with this stuff. But anyway, it's crazy also that the St. Louis Cardinals haven't been able to offload Arenado. Is that changing yet?
Not only Arenado, Sonny Gray. And Sonny Gray is commanding $75 million over a 3-year period. He figures into the mix, too. Here's how that stands at the moment, too, Mike. Sonny Gray has invoked his no-trade clause, and he has. Ed Gray is 35 years old, and he says, no, I don't want to leave. I don't want to go anywhere else. So they can't really trade him unless he complies with it, unless he says, okay, yeah, go ahead and trade me to thus and such and so. So you have to put him on the sidelines. Now, Arenado has already said, yeah, I'll take a trade. But yesterday he was quoted as saying that a deal with the Boston Red Sox is his, quote, last chance, end quote. Hey, these guys could all be playing for the Cardinals again this year. Is that a good thing? Well, if the Cardinals are looking as their sole goal to reduce the payroll, heavens no, it's not a good thing. But if they are hell-bent on winning and getting back into pennant contention and so forth and so on, it won't hurt them at all. But it's still got another many weeks to go before all this is decided.
So if you're not doing anything tonight, the Missouri State Bears are in town?
Little Bears basketball. Now, keep in mind, and I don't mean to be negative, but the Bears have not won in the conference yet. They're 0-6, and their overall record is under 500. They haven't played great basketball. Now, this is an unusual piece of scheduling because the Bears played Southern Illinois on Saturday, and they're playing Southern Illinois again tonight, only this time the game is here at the Great Southern Bank Arena. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Bears win this one. Over in Carbondale on Saturday night, they went to overtime, lost by 10. But I think the home court will make a little bit of a difference. Bears do need to win. Tonight's game starts at 6 o'clock. That's an odd time for the men's game to start, but it is 6 o'clock, and that is for regional television purposes is why they're doing it. It's a Missouri Valley telecast. Anyway, Bears and SIU tonight, Great Southern Bank Arena. There haven't been very many people showing up, and that's not a criticism nor a negative remark. The fans have just not been showing up. Hopefully that'll turn around. We'll get some people in the arena. That's tonight, 6 o'clock, Bears and SIU.
So, you know what's interesting is that you bring up the attendance thing. And a really close friend of mine and his kid went to see a game recently, and they got there late, went up to the ticket box office, and what are the prices, and what's the lowest price? And she was like, well, it's $10, but it's all the way in the corner. He goes, well, take two. Walked in, walked straight down the
and
floor.
They could go sit wherever they wanted to go. That's exactly
so,
right. Yeah.
Just FYI, if you plan on going tonight. Australian Open's happening. What's going on with that?
Well, it is into the second round, and last night I made made the choice to watch Novak Djokovic. He is not one of the top-seeded players. He is seeded, and he's among the top 5. But he's not number 1. That's Yannick Sinner from Italy, who is now the number 1 player in the world. Djokovic is 37 years old. He's an old pro to be out there on the court. But he is also the 10-time Australian Open champion. Last night he gets paired against a kid from Portugal who is making his first ever Grand Slam at the Aussie Open. Australian Open is the first of the year's Grand Slam events. Making his very first ever Grand Slam appearance. And this kid could serve, Mike, over 130 miles an hour. As a young kid, my gosh, he had Djokovic on his heels for much of the match. But Djokovic had the experience, and experience pulled it out. 3-1, Djokovic wins, not without having to put forth some effort, but he did win. Now the competition gets tougher. This is the first week. It's a 2-week event, and it ends Sunday a week. It'll be very interesting to see. The ladies are playing also. Conditions, of course, it's summer in Australia, and the conditions have been very warm, but hey, that's part of the ball game.
Yeah, it is. I can't believe it's somewhere on this planet where it's cold as it was this morning. And I'd also like to see that racket returning at 130-mile-an-hour serves. It's got to have some indents on it.
Now, keep in mind, these are the new graphite rackets, and they have a bit of flexibility to them. You can serve hard if you're big and strong.
That's a scary thing to be facing that. All right, we did have some pretty good college basketball action last night, didn't we?
Missouri Tigers go down to Gainesville, Florida to play against the Florida Gators, who are nationally ranked. Mizzou is not, but they'll probably be after this. Mizzou wins. Now, Missouri was way ahead in this ballgame, way ahead, and squandered it in the second half when Florida outscored them by, I think, 42 to 30 something. I don't remember what the margin was. But Missouri wins the game. That's the bottom line, 83 to 82 over Florida. Big win for Coach Gates and the Missouri Tigers. Arkansas goes down to Baton Rouge to play LSU. And the Bayou Bengals, LSU beats Arkansas by 4, 78-74. Number 1 team in America. That's Auburn, Bruce Pearl, and the Auburn Tigers. They played Mississippi State, which is a very good basketball team. Auburn 88, Mississippi State 66, and the Kentucky Wildcats. Keep your eye on them. They haven't been great this year, but they're right on the borderline. Kentucky 81, Texas A&M 69. Southeastern Conference is probably the strongest conference in America.
That's what I was going to say. Ultimately, though, what I really want to say is that it seems this year so far in the college basketball front that it's a lot more of an even playing field. You don't really have that dominant dog anymore like you used to a couple of years ago.
Not of 40 and 50 years ago like UCLA and people like that. No, there isn't, and probably never going to be, because the talent level is so diverse now in this country that you have every team has capable All-Americas.
Yeah, all the way down to D2s. All right, bud. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.